Today, though, there has been a lot of controversy surrounding comments made by Jeremy Clarkson in his newspaper column at the weekend. Talking about Meghan Markle, Jeremy wrote, Meghan, though, is a different story. I hate her, not like I hate Nicola Sturgeon or Rose West. I hate her on a cellular level. At night, I'm unable to sleep as I lie there, grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her. A bit uncomfortable even reading this, actually. Everyone my age thinks the same way, he says. But what makes me despair is that younger people, especially girls, think she is cool. Now, Jeremy's daughter, Emily Clarkson, responded on Instagram saying she stands against everything he wrote. She said, my views are and have always been clear when it comes to misogyny, bullying and the treatment of women by the media. That is his daughter, Colleen. Extraordinary words from a very well-known journalist and broadcaster. What did you make of it this morning?
I mean, applaud for his daughter. Amazing. What did I make of it this morning? I'm absolutely horrified and disgusted that he would write that about anybody. And comparing, fair enough if you don't like somebody, you know, we can't all like everybody. But what he wrote was everything that, you know, if you've watched this series, is everything that they've been getting since day one, really. And now he's done it again. He's proved them right all the way along because it's absolutely disgusting. And in my opinion, he shouldn't be allowed to write that. I think it's hate speech by saying someone should be paraded through the street with excrement thrown at them is shocking, to be honest with you. And I just think, I mean, you know, I always, when I sit here, I think, imagine somebody writing that about your daughter or about your wife. How would you feel? Yeah. You know, and Harry's had to put up with this from day one. And yes, whatever you think of them, they feel they have to speak out because nobody's been in their corner, whatever that is. But what he's written has just proved them right, and I think he's an absolute disgrace, and I don't think he should ever say that people of my age, because I'm near his age, and I completely disagree with him, and thank God for the younger generation.
Janet, he's been a columnist for a very long time. He writes things to purposely shock. He writes things so that we potentially are sitting here today talking about it. Where do you stand with it, Janet? Because you also get what it is to write a column.
Yeah, I've written a column for 50 years, and columnists are paid. If you're that kind of columnist, you're paid to be controversial, to get people talking, which is exactly what he's achieved. I'm not condoning what he wrote. I'm not saying I agree with it. But you've got to see where it's coming from. The Sun needs to sell a lot of newspapers. The editor's a woman. She would have, Victoria Newton, she would have read the copy. She would have thought, well, that's done the job. That's going to get everybody talking about the Sun, which and at the same time about Meghan. The allusion in the column to parading through the streets is actually not made clear enough that he's talking about a scene from Game of Thrones, and he's actually using that as a simile. Now, as for whether it constitutes hate speech or not, it is distasteful, it is disgusting, but we live in an era of free speech, and as a columnist, my editor doesn't tell me what to write and they don't change what I write. And I do get loads of nasty comments, but I accept them. And the same will be true for Jeremy Clarkson. Whether saying you hate someone constitutes hate speech, I don't think so. I think we have got more sensitive about that. Although, as a woman, I find what he writes about her repulsive. And I have to ask myself, would I write that about a man? Well, probably I wouldn't. But it will have gone through checks and balances editorially because the Sun has published it, and as publishers, they bear the responsibility legally for whether it broke the law or not. And unfortunately, these days, we get much more upset about things than they did 200 or 300 years ago, because Britain is the home of brilliant caricaturists, satirists and comic writers. And 200 or 300 years ago, there were routinely cartoons of the king with his head down the toilet, the king with all his bits hanging
Yeah, but that was 200 or 300 years ago.
No,
I was
it
gonna
doesn't
say,
mean...
Janet, I'm
hang on,
sorry,
it
but
doesn't mean,
you know.
because you're not, you know... It doesn't mean that we've moved on. We've moved on to cancelling, it seems to me.
It's not even about cancelling, Janet. You said something about free speech. Everybody is entitled to their free speech. Say what you think. But this is hatred. It is hatred. You can't say that it's not. It's inciting. It's inciting.
It's hate speech.
It's inciting for somebody to be hurtful or hatred, or do as he says and run around and chuck something on another person. Whether it be, it's irrelevant whether it's a man or a woman, and it's irrelevant whether he was trying to liken it to Game of Thrones. This is a horrible thing to say about somebody who has had loads of mud slung at her for no reason whatsoever, apart from the fact that she fell in love with somebody. He's obviously a hater of her because he's dreaming about her at night time. He's got obviously a problem there if he's dreaming about her at night time.
Well, personally, I am not writing about Meghan. I've stopped writing about Meghan, and I've stopped having an opinion about Meghan because it's not worth it. Life's too short, and I think there are a lot more important things in the world than...
But I think you need to start with everybody trying to be kind in the first place, no matter what.
No, I don't want to see the end of free speech, and that might include...
It's not about seeing the end of free speech, Janet.
Yeah.
It's doing the right thing and just being a nice person and doing the right thing.
We can't have a nice world, it's not realistic.
Woe betide somebody says that about his daughter. Woe betide.
And it does go back to the Be Kind movement that sort of we all talked about for such a long time. It sort of seems to have been slightly forgotten.
It's irrelevant
which
for some.
Which is
Oh, I'm going to be kind, give Brenda a big hug now.
OK, well, that's nice. And, you know, it doesn't happen very often, Brenda, so you've got to take it when it comes.
Hey, Royal Squad fam. Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad, where we defend the truth, stand by Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex, and call out every single hypocrite coming for them. Today we need to talk about one of the most vile, disturbing things that's ever been published in a UK tabloid. And yes, that's saying a lot. Jeremy Clarkson, you know, the guy who used to scream at cars and now just screams into the void, decided it was okay to publish a piece saying he hates Meghan on a cellular level. Not just that, he actually wrote that he lies awake at night dreaming of the day she's paraded naked through the streets while people throw excrement at her. Yes. That's not a joke. That's a man putting his fantasy of public humiliation of a woman into a national newspaper. What kind of twisted obsession is that? And to make it worse, Clarkson claimed everyone his age feels the same. Really? Because last we checked, most decent human beings don't fantasize about violence against women just because they married into royalty and didn't shrink themselves to please the press. Speak for yourself, Jeremy, not for your generation. Even his own daughter, Emily Clarkson, had to come out and say she stands firmly against everything he wrote. When your own child is publicly distancing herself from you, maybe it's time for some deep reflection. But this is exactly what Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex have been calling out from the beginning: misogyny, racism, and toxic media culture. Clarkson's grotesque words only prove their point. Let's get something straight. This is not about free speech. This is about hate speech. Comparing Meghan to criminals, dreaming about her being humiliated, and then passing it off as a Game of Thrones reference? No, Jeremy. You don't get to hide behind pop culture when what you wrote is dangerous and disgusting. Your obsession isn't clever. It's creepy. And for The Sun to publish it? Shame on them. This is why the Sussexes had to walk away from that circus. It's why Harry continues to fight for his wife and children. Because when people show you who they are, again and again, you protect the people you love. That's exactly what he's doing, and we applaud him for it. Let's also give credit to the voices on that morning panel who said exactly what needed to be said. One even said, "Imagine if someone wrote that about your daughter or your wife." Exactly. Meghan is someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's mother. And she's also a woman who's done nothing to deserve this level of hatred other than existing in a space that some people think she doesn't belong in. But let me tell you this, Meghan Sussex belongs, and she will continue to rise, no matter how many pathetic men like Clarkson try to tear her down. If you're here because you see through the noise and you're tired of the endless attacks on Harry and Meghan, then you're in the right place. This community stands for love, truth, and respect. So, hit that subscribe button. Smash that super thanks if you believe in the Sussexes, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's remind the world that kindness, decency, and accountability still matter. This is Royal Sussex Squad. And here, we don't bow to bullies. We stand with the Sussexes.